This is a video about Elden Ring. If you're not interested in a really odd niche mechanic in a new video game, then this video is not for you. But I'm going to be talking about invasions and why I think they're bad in Elden Ring. And this is not to say that invasions are bad, because they were really good and cool in Dark Souls, and I'd like to kind of dive into the dualism there and the dichotomy of why I think the same mechanic really works in one game and it's kind of jankety in the newer one. So, um, I'm going to tell you two stories. The first one, they're both times that I've been in, or, sorry, one is a time that I got invaded in Dark Souls, and another one is a time that I invaded someone else in Elden Ring on Tuesday. So, a long time ago, I was going through Sin's Fortress for the second time. And I remembered Sin's Fortress really being a sticking point on my offline playthrough Dark Souls 1. So it really pushed me into the multiplayer once I got to certain areas to it. And so, kindling humanity and you get invaded, you get invaded, you get invaded. I found out pretty quickly that I was pretty bad at PvP in Dark Souls 1, just like I was bad at the PvP in Dark Souls 2, and I'll continue to be bad at the PvP in all of the FromSoftware games. I'm pretty good at PvE. I can kill a boss pretty smart, but I'm not into I don't know. I'm not into best of one fights. I think that that's a poor judge of skill. Um, Sorry, coffee sip. So, um, I was in Sen's Fortress, and I figured out that you can do the Dark Souls thing where you just run to the boss fight, pop your humanity, and get your summon signs there. But in Sen's Fortress, your invasion rate's absurd because everybody's just trying to invade to hope that you die to traps and they don't have to do anything. Um, and so I got to the boss. I got one person in, and I was waiting on another summon. And I got invaded, and uh, the guy that I had, I started running towards the fog gate, and he did like a wave, and I took that as a no. Then he did his little teabag crouch thing, and completely swapped his gear set in like 3 seconds while he was teabagging. Then when he stopped, he he ran out, fought the invader, came back, bowed to me, and the invader was banished, and we went in after I summoned another guy, and we killed the boss. The Iron Golem went down like a chump with 3 people. We didn't even make him fall off a cliff. It was easy because I had soul spears. Um, but that was really cool watching an actual PvP fight because both parties were ready and they were engaged with the PvP. So if you're not in the like how to like really know life Dark Souls, one of the best ways to get souls in Dark Souls 1 and 3 and the best way to get souls in Dark Souls 2 is to just sit by a boss spawn. You kill all the enemies in an area, you sit at a boss spawn, drop your summon sign right next to the door, and then everybody who got to the boss without getting invaded cracks their humanity, becomes human, re-embers, whatever you want to call it, and they those people will be able to summon the guys that put down their sign that you can summon, and then all they have to do is go kill the boss. This is actually really easy in Dark Souls 2 because you kill all of the mobs, I think it's like 8 or 12 times or something like that, and they stop respawning. So then it's just an easy walk to the fog gate, and this is really good in Dark Souls because if you're just waiting around in the same area for extended periods of time, which can happen if you're in one of the more obscure, higher level areas, then there's a higher chance that you can get invaded. And this is good because there's something to do while you're waiting for a boss. There's a big potential for reward, and it keeps your fingers warmed up. Like you you can expect to get into PvP while you're waiting to get summoned at a fog gate. That's just kind of a given. And the invasions there work really, really well because you're in a hallway. There's not really anywhere for you guys to go other than fight each other. Especially if you're in Dark Souls 2, there's no enemies, so if you lose to this Chungus, then you just go pick up your souls and hey, look, you're right back at the fog gate or whatever. And it's the same in Dark Souls 1 and 3 is you're wanting something to do. You're actively looking for more souls, more resources. You're trying to kill this boss so multiple times. So why not get some icing on your icing? And for Dark Souls 1 and 3, it's a little bit more danger because now you have to re-clear out your area and get to your souls. But if you're trying to kill the same boss over and over again, the guys outside of his area shouldn't be all that hard for you. So that's why invasions are really good and cool in Dark Souls 1, is both parties are prepared, there's nothing else, like you're looking for something to do a lot of the time, and in the cases where the invader actually hits someone that's trying to clear the area and beat the boss for the first time, you have that added level of difficulty, but it's also something where if you see an invader like sneak attacking you from someplace, then you know that you can get there. Or if you see them like run past down a hallway, then you know where they came from and where they are, so unless they're like next level mind gaming you, you know where to go next, and you just realize that they got lost and didn't see you before you saw them, or, you know, whatever. There's a bunch of different reasons why the invasions in Dark Souls, really good, primo. So, now let me tell you another story about what happened on Tuesday. So, I got a hold of the tarnished bloody fingers or whatever in Elden Ring you use to invade people. And so I went to the guard area, the big ruins out front of Stormvale Keep, or the Stormvale area. So where you go and get Torrent. So I invaded a few people. A lot of them were just, they auto-quit the game, so I couldn't connect in. There was one gank that was just perfectly set up. It was the host of Embers and two other people. They just 100% got me. So, good on them. Good job. And then there was Greg. And man, Greg, I gotta say, if you somehow hear this, I am a little bit sorry for you. So what I did to Greg was I invaded his world. I did a little bit of combat with him. I was using the Sword of Flame and Night, or I think that's what it's called. And I used up most of my mana, and he took out a lot of my health. So I noticed that I had this new item in my inventory. And it had been giving them to me whenever I was invading and taking them away, and so I made a little bit of distance, used the item, and I teleported. Technically, it was away from the fight, but what they're used for, I think, is if the host tries to run away from you, you can use them to, like, teleport to them. So, after seeing it get me out of a hairy situation in the fight, I bopped him with my sword one time, just trying to get his attention. And then I ran him into a group of enemies, saw that he started to fight them, and I ran off into the distance. Then I circled back into the ruins, went underground, and stood behind the treasure chest. I threw up the Iridation emote, the Mind Blow one, and threw on the Pumpkinhead helmet. And so as soon as he walked into the basement, He tried to shoot me with an arrow, but of course the chest was in the way. I did the mind blow animation. Then I used the bloody finger to teleport quote-unquote close to him. But since I was underground and now he was underground, the game put me above ground, which gave me a huge head start on running away from this chump. And in Elden Ring, you can run in 360 directions from any given point on the map. It was literally impossible for this guy to find me. I took a fun little circuitous route. I double-checked some things. You can't go into, like, dungeon areas. I tried to go into the wolf cave that's just north of the church that you go to, the first church that you find yourself at. I couldn't go in there, so what I did was I went back behind the first step, the cathedral or mausoleum or whatever that you walk out of at first. I went behind that and threw up my iridation emote again. But Greg never came. He never found me. And I was in his world for a long time. Like, once I had that set up, I took my kid out to go potty. Then we got him some food. I got him settled down for lunch because I didn't know how long this was going to take, and I was going to kind of see it through to the end. So got him all settled. That took, 10 minutes. Checked on the game. I'm still there. I mind blow myself, and then I set up the iridation emote again. I set my controller down on the charger with the game going, still in this guy's other world. And I went and I packed a tobacco pipe and I smoked that. And then I came back and I was still in Greg's world. It was phenomenal because I knew that he couldn't rest at any marks of grace. He couldn't go into any dungeons, so it's not like he could really progress anything. He didn't have his horse, which means as soon as he comes across any sort of mounted combatant, he was going to die. If he tried to just farm out runes or whatever, like do some hunting, then eventually something's going to go wrong and he's going to die. But he can't rest, he can't use his horse. I don't think he can, like, fast travel and stuff. There was a lot of things that I made sure that Greg couldn't do for over 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Greg couldn't ride his horse. He couldn't rest at a mark of grace. And I had no real reason to go fight him. I would have lost the fight. So I was just, if an invader in this game is made to just be a time loss, because the best way for farming runes in Elden Ring likely isn't going to be just setting your summon sign down, because depending on your build, of course, if you're doing a sorcerer, then all you really can do is get good. But if you're going around and collecting stuff, then you can make your fire bombs, you can make special arrows and bolts, and it's just better to go out and fight in the overworld. Are you stuck on a boss or whatever? Go kill some enemies around it. The Lindell Knights are worth an absurd amount of runes the first time you get through there. And all of this leads to the invasions aren't as interesting. Now, admittedly, I haven't been a part of any of the invasions, like, in a castle, unless you consider the capital city, because this is the only places that I've been invaded by player characters. And it's not like I'm super salty about any losses. I haven't lost any runes to dumb invader idiots. One of them got close. One of them almost took over 100k runes from me before on my first game, which it was like 3-ish levels at that point. And it was like my first run through the city. It was not, Yeah, it was all of the runes collected from my first trip through the city through like my second or third trip, and eventually I just threw on the sacrificial twig and ran for it, and then guy starts teabagging, but he doesn't know that I succeeded, so whatever. But no, there are no heroes when it comes to invading in Elden Ring. There's no reason that someone should be able to take your horse away when or just make you not able to progress while they're uh, like in the world. Like, I don't know. If I was malicious, then probably at minute 30 I would have popped one of the teleport to the player items and waited until he was AFK or whatever and then go up and backstab him or one shot him. But that's not my style. I wanted to play hide and seek, and I think eventually his internet probably either gave out or he did end up quitting game or pulling the plug or something because Greg and I had a connection error, and it was not on my side because as soon as I got out of the encounter, there was all of the messages and bloodstains and summon signs and whatnot. So yeah, I feel bad for Greg, and honestly, I just like I said at the start of this video, I think that invasions used to serve a really good purpose in PvP, but now we have summon signs, especially with like group summon signs. If you're trying to get in fights with like a particular person, that's really good. We have duelist summon signs, so now you have like I get that maybe not everyone is going to summon you, and that's because it's not going to be a fun or engaging fight for anybody if the people who don't want to PvP are forced into PvP, especially in an open world game where all they want to do is go be a horse wizard. I think that that's a shame. Or Greg didn't even want to be a horse wizard. He just wanted to be a knight. That's the sad thing about Greg is he was really really good at being a knight. I had the big flashy sword swings and magic attacks, and Greg just wanted to be a knight. But I didn't let him for 40 minutes. So I think that's kind of what it boils down to is now like you can also take into consideration that 3 of the 5 fingers that I used, people just quit out their game so that as soon as I loaded in, it was unable to connect. Like, they got the invasion sign, said, nope, quit game, and then reloaded their game, and I was down a bloody curled finger. That's all that happened. So, people are already not going to put up with invasions, especially if they don't have any like summoned help with them. It just won't ever happen unless you're new to the game and probably have to go and look up on Google how to get an invader out of your world if he won't fight you. Uh, so all the invasions are doing right now is hurting players that don't know how to combat online PvP. So a big part of that might be I should really be advocating more for play your first playthrough of your From Software game offline. Always play online as much as you want in New Game Plus. You'll find more interesting summon signs, you'll find more interesting dueling opponents because you're not just going to find the one guy who found the ice scythe, because that's apparently always meta these days. Either that or I'm just really dumb and get styled on. But yeah, those are the 2 big points. Is I think that invasions have definitely lost their luster when it comes to necessity, and furthermore, I think that they're becoming actively harmful to the new player base, and completely ineffectual to an older, more tempered player base that recognizes that just by quitting out their game, they can circumvent the one downside that there was about playing online. And I think that just having more rewards for summon sign PvP, like you give maybe this you'd have to skew some numbers for items that you get and whatnot, but if I think that they had a mechanic like this in Dark Souls 3 where if you invaded someone and even if you lost the fight or whatever, you'd get an item and the person that you invaded who won the fight would get like 2 or 3 of their items that they got just for invading. I don't know if that was the case in Dark Souls 3. I've never been one for collecting the PvP weapons because I'm not good at PvP, and why would I try to be something that I'm not? But yeah, that's always the reward, is you get little item drops that you can turn in for big time rewards. But I think that in an open world like Elden Ring, using those items as breadcrumbs to help you follow particular quest lines would be nice. I don't know if that's too Ubisoft or like, and obviously I'm ruminating. I'm throwing out an idea after like this isn't even standing on the shoulders of giants. This is like lazily lounging on like the giant sofa while he's busy doing stuff and spouting out like improvements. I don't know. I'll stop there. I've made my point. Invasions used to be good, now they're bad. PvP good, me not good at PvP.